Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Wednesday, April 25th at Keeneland. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's Director for Wagering Development, Jim Goodman. Going to take a look at the late pick four. No stakes race on the Wednesday card, but a couple of really good allowance races. We'll start in the fifth with the pick four, Jim. It's a 10K claimer for fillies and mares going 7 furlongs. Then we've got a turf allowance in the sixth, claiming non-winners of 2 in the seventh. Non-winners of 2 allowance in the 8th, sprinting on the turf. So take us through your pick 4 ticket.
Well, the first race is a $10,000 claimer, so you're going to get an advantage of watching which horses they like on the board. But I really couldn't narrow this down very much at all. We ended up going to 5 different horses here, and I suppose that if I had to pick one horse, it would be what, the 8 horse for Ingrid Mason. Moving a little bit up, they claimed it for $8,000 and running her back for $10 here at Keeneland, but that was an Oaklawn race, so it's a comparable race to the $10,000 level here. And the horse has been running against much better as Santa Anita, Oaklawn, Del Mar, and Churchill. So I think what is probably going to be the favorite here, but I don't think she's a lock by any means. I think you can use Prom Theme, the one horse. You can use See the Bird, the 3. The horse was hung on the outside last time out in a 10,000 claimer here at Keeneland. First 3 horses are all coming back out of that same race where Ivy's College Fund, along with 5 vacancy in. So these horses wanted to get another race in them before they hit a Churchill. So I think See the Bird has a real shot at the price. I think the Ginger Moore, the 9 for Chris Richard. Obviously, what is the other one I would use? And Awesome Music for Declan Cannon off a bad race last time at Turfway, but again, has been running against much better. So we'll go 5 deep here with 1, 3, 4, 8, 9. We talked at the beginning of before we started taping, and the 6th race is probably the best race on the card with a really nice turf allowance with some good horses that are in good form. I couldn't narrow it down at all, so in my pick 4, I'm just going to hit the all button here. I like Bondurant a lot, the 3 horse. I like Space Mountain for Rusty Arnold, the 7. I like Profiteer for Jose Ortiz. But when I started eliminating horses, I really couldn't eliminate very much. Even Tweet Kitten on the outside for Mike Maker hadn't been out since April of 16, but Kenneth Ramsey has a habit of winning races the last 3 days to try to get the owner's title, so I think they're going to really try with this horse off a 2-year layoff. But I'm going to just go all here. I was going to use 5 of them, and I'll just go ahead and hit the all button. So I'm going to run out of money real quick here. The 7th race, I'm going to go with the 1 and the 6, All Up in Lights for Dane Kabisky. I think is the better part of the entry. I'm assuming they will scratch out one or the other, but Paddock Crasher also fits here, so Dean Sarvis is named on both of them. So I'm going to go with the entry for Dane Kabisky, and I'm going to use Mucho Mas Grande. Alex Bashiza is really riding well first time at Keeneland, and this horse jumped way up last time out in a race at Fairgrounds at a mile on the turf and stretching out to mile and 8, so I really like the distance. So I'm going to stick with the 1-6 here. And then the last race, I'm going to spent all my money in the first leg, so I'm going to do 2 there, too, making an $80 ticket. I'm going to use the 5 horses, Brielle's Appeal for Al Stahl. It was almost a single here, but I'm also going to use Brad Cox and Florent Giroux have been on fire. Brad's leading the training stats, and Florent is leading the jockey stats. So I'm going to spend another $40. I'm not going to get beat on my pick 4 by Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. So I'm going to use the 5 and the 8. You had to cut it down. I think the 5 is the better choice here with a great run last time at Fairgrounds, 1 for fun at this distance. So my pick 4 ticket is 1, 3, 4, 8, 9 with all, with 1, 6, with 5, 8, and that's $80.
I am going to start out in the 5th race with 4 horses. Like you, what would be my win pick, but I just couldn't get convinced enough that this horse was a standout. Ginger Moore really intrigues me. I think this horse is in good form, and I like turning back from a mile in a 7 furlong race. And if you go back to a race at March 3rd at Delta Downs for this horse, that 60 Buyer was his best, or her best, since last July, so she might be getting back to her best form. And then the other 2 I was going to use, the Prom Theme and Vacancy Inn. The 3 you mentioned certainly could be considered. I think the horses over at the track in these claiming races always is a good angle. So I think if you're using pick 4 plays, pick 3 plays, you definitely want to include the horses that have had the race over the track. So I'm going to use 1, 5, 8, 9 in there. In the 6th race, I like Zulu Alpha. I like that big improvement last time and the second start for Neil Howard, this one jumped up to a 96 buyer, and that was a big improvement. Shortening up to a mile, and this horse has 2 wins and a second at the 1 mile distance. Forge came out of that last race and came back to run third in the Grade 1 Makers 46 miles. So that was a good field, too. Synchrony and Arklow and that bunch. So Zulu Alpha I like, but not enough to single. I like Dot Matrix. I like Profiteer, Bondurant, and Space Mountain I could have been talked into, too, but I scratched that one out to keep the ticket a little lower. Then I'm getting kind of short on funds to go very deep. I'd love to go deeper in the 7th race. I'm just going to use 2 horses. Aviator Parks gets Gabe Saez, who's ridden well at this meet and has speed, which I like. Something Bird is trending up the 9, so 7 and 9. I would love to go deeper in here, but to keep the ticket affordable, I'm going to take a stand with those 2. And then I'm going to use Brielle's Appeal, Golden Amber. I think you got to use both of those. I'm like you. May Lily, I'm going to include 2 on my ticket, but I could easily be talked out of scratching May Lily and going deeper in that 7th race. But for me, 1-5-8-9 with 2-3-4-6 with 7-9 with 1-5-8 for the late pick 4 on Wednesday. Just 3 days of racing left in the spring meet here at Keeneland, and we'll be back for the Thursday edition of the End of the Money podcast right here at KeenelandSelect.com.